Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. The news marks the end of a controversial yet undeniably influential chapter in American political history. Cheney's passing prompted an emotional statement from former President George W. Bush, who served alongside him for 8 years in the White House. In his tribute, Bush described Dick Cheney as a decent, honorable man and a true patriot. He recalled the moment he chose Cheney as his running mate in the 2000 presidential election, explaining that his decision was based on Cheney's deep experience, mature judgment, character, and loyalty. Bush said that during his presidency, Cheney was a calm and steady presence, someone who offered honest counsel and always put the nation's interest above politics. George W. Bush's words painted a picture of partnership and respect, even amid the difficult years that defined their administration. From the aftermath of September 11th to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, Dick Cheney played a central role in shaping U.S. policy at one of the most turbulent times in recent history. Supporters often described him as a symbol of strength and decisiveness. Critics, on the other hand, viewed him as the architect of policies that expanded presidential power and redefined America's role in the world. Whether admired or condemned, few could deny the magnitude of his influence. In his statement, Bush also took time to honor Cheney's decades of public service beyond the vice presidency. Before joining Bush on the Republican ticket, Cheney served as a White House chief of staff under President Gerald Ford, as a congressman representing Wyoming, and as Secretary of Defense under President George H.W. Bush. In that role, he oversaw Operation Desert Storm, the campaign that pushed Iraqi forces out of Kuwait in 1991. Bush noted that Cheney's long career reflected a life dedicated to the service of his country and a commitment to protecting its freedoms and security. Bush concluded his tribute by extending his deepest sympathies to Cheney's wife, Lynn Cheney, their daughters Liz and Mary, and their granddaughters. Liz Cheney, of course, followed her father into public service, serving as a U.S. representative from Wyoming and becoming a prominent voice in recent political debates. For many Americans, Dick Cheney's legacy remains complex. To his admirers, he was a patriot who stood firm in moments of national crisis. To his critics, he embodied the darker side of post-9/11 politics, a figure who pushed for controversial decisions on surveillance, interrogation, and the invasion of Iraq. Even so, his career spanned half a century of American political life, from the Ford administration to the rise of the modern Republican Party. His influence could be felt in every corner of Washington. Colleagues often described Cheney as methodical, intelligent, and intensely private. He rarely sought the spotlight, preferring to work behind the scenes where real power, in his view, was exercised. That style made him both respected and feared. It also helped define the image of the vice presidency as more than just a ceremonial role. Under Dick Cheney, the office became a command post for national security, energy policy, and the administration's strategic decisions. In the years after leaving office, Cheney continued to defend his record unapologetically. He insisted that his actions during the Bush years were necessary to protect the United States and prevent further attacks. In interviews and memoirs, he expressed no regrets about his most controversial decisions, arguing that history would judge them through the lens of security and survival. Now, with his passing, that history is being revisited. Across the political spectrum, tributes and reflections are pouring in, not just from allies, but from former opponents who acknowledge that Cheney's impact on American politics, for better or worse, was profound. He leaves behind a family deeply rooted in public life, and a legacy that will be studied and debated for generations. George W. Bush's tribute captures the tone of respect and gratitude that comes from years of partnership under pressure. He called Dick Cheney a patriot, a loyal friend, and a man whose steady hand helped guide the nation through some of its darkest days. For Bush and many others who knew him personally, Cheney's death is not just the loss of a political figure, but the loss of a trusted colleague who helped shape an era. As America reflects on the life of Dick Cheney, one truth stands out. He was a man who believed in duty, conviction, and the use of power to defend the nation as he saw fit. His decisions changed the course of U.S. history, and his influence will continue to echo through the decades to come. Whether you view him as a patriot, a strategist, or a symbol of controversy, Dick Cheney's story remains an essential part of understanding American politics in the 21st century.